Oh, ladies and gentlemen, what's up? Welcome back once again. It is your favorite podcast, and it's also nationally known as the world's greatest podcast. It's Keepin It Rio, and I got episode 159 today. And ladies and gentlemen, I have had some superstars on the podcast over the years, but none greater than the one I've got on today. So without any further hesitation, I'd like to welcome head man over at Perimeter Roofing in Georgia, star of multiple viral videos. We're going to discuss some of those because I believe we just co-starred in one. And men of many, many varied interests. And we're just going to find out about all of them today. So without any further hesitation, let me welcome my friend Raymond Little to Keepin It Rio. What's going on, my man? How you doing this evening?
Not much, man. Thank you for having me, man.
I appreciate you taking the time. I've been following you guys for years. It's kind of funny because I really started following you with the first viral video that you did a couple years ago with State Farm.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that video probably, took your notoriety in the industry to a completely different level. And rightfully so. It was good. You were calling out something that was kind of shoddy. And it seems like that trend has been continuing on since. So tell me a little bit first about your experience in the roofing industry. I know you've been in the industry for a little bit. Tell me about how you got into this damn thing.
Yeah, so I actually, yesterday was my 8th year in the industry. I started 8 years ago knocking doors. One of my buddies got me into it, Justin Simpson. Had a company called True Tech. Phenomenal start for me. They were bringing their trucks in. Him and Todd, my business partner that I have now, him and Todd kept pulling up in these trucks to get lifts on them. And I'm not talking about like regular trucks. I'm talking about brand new, diesel trucks, 25 miles on them, 100 miles on them, and just spending crazy amount of money getting lifts on them. I was in there sweeping floors and doing C-level mechanic stuff, putting racks on top or hitch receivers on at this custom auto place. And they kept pulling in. I've known Justin 20 plus years. And I said, hey, man, look, dude, you got to put me on. And he did. And I started knocking doors and using social media to get leads. So then shortly, probably 3 weeks into roofing, I was building 2 roofs a day, signing 2 a day. And then we were building 3 roofs a day way back when. That was 8 years ago. And 2 of them were mine every day. So it kind of went from there. We were all new in the industry, obviously. And Justin went to Florida and we went on our way to build Perimeter Roofing from there.
Man, and I'll tell you what, that's awesome because that's how it usually works with people. It's like, I never really planned on getting into roofing. It just kind of happened. Same thing with me. I've been in it for 26 years, but it's funny because I tell people I was having a bad day on a Friday. I used to run a crane and deliver drywall. And I was pissed off about something that happened at my job that day. Who knows what it was? But I just was driving home one day and I saw a roofing supply company that was hiring. Here I am 26 years later. And it's like, all right, it's been fun. So you get into the industry and you start to see, you saw it before you even got into it. Like there's money to be made in this. And there's plenty of things to bring you to want to do it. But also in our industry, something I think is pretty cool is that there's a lot of opportunity for people like yourself that had never been in it before and just say, hey, I want to give that a shot. And you jump in and just, start doing the work, get yourself in. And like you said, it's not typical to be doing, 2 roofs a week, a month into your career, or 2 roofs a day, but it is what it is. And that just goes to show, okay, here's a guy that's hungry. When you start doing the door knocking, you start getting some success. At what point do you realize maybe there's a lot more to this than what I thought? And you start maybe expanding what your thought process is for your goals, for what you want to achieve in the roofing industry. When did that moment hit you when it was like, dude, this is pretty real?
Yeah, well, when I started, I didn't like climbing. I'm scared of heights, still scared of heights to this day. People that see my videos, I only do steep and high now, basically all day long, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 appointments a day. Back then I got $100 appointment and $200 once we got scope in hand. So the first 27 roofs for me, that's how I got paid. So about $300 a roof. I realized I didn't like knocking doors. I hated knocking doors. I'm covered head to toe in tattoos too. I usually stay covered up. Even to this day, I don't really, even if it's 100 degrees outside, I got like a long sleeve Nike on, one of the thin ones. At the door, I'm 6'3", 200 pounds, covered head to toe. At the door usually isn't good for me. Once I get the door open, I can pretty much educate the homeowner. I don't sell. I educate the homeowner on how roofing goes, right, with insurance. There's no sales tactic there. But I did realize that this was my vehicle with my background, my education is not very high. My background's, I ran the streets for, you know, the first 33 years of my life. So I did realize that the roofing was my vehicle to, provide for my family. And I did realize I could use social media to produce my leads. So, 8 years ago, I used Facebook. I used to message probably 50 people a day, asking when's the last time they had the roof looked at, because I couldn't stand knocking the doors. I would knock my builds, I would knock a storm, but just waking up, I would just start getting on my social media. When's the last time you had your roof looked at? Educating the consumer. And like I said, to this day, I still don't, not salesy. I just say, hey, here's, what my policy reads. Your policy probably reads the same way, right? You got missing shingles up here. If they're not repairable, and that most likely they owe for it. So we go from there.
I love it, dude. And I love the fact that you just, you got in and you just got with a team and started instantly producing. You're over with Perimeter. Tell me a little bit about Perimeter. I follow you guys and I see what you're doing, and it's absolutely amazing. And I always wonder, how does something like that start? Did you guys, hit the ground running and just, instantly blow up? Or has it been something that's been a gradual process? How big is the team? What do you guys got going on over there?
Yeah, so we're with PE now. So Perimeter's been open about, I think, going on 7 years now. It's all been a whirlwind for me. Yeah, so like I said, we come off of True Tech Roofing. Justin was the one that got me in. Then his partner was Todd, which is now my partner. Back in the day, we didn't know a lot about the industry, and workers' comp came up, and we didn't have it. If you know how that works, it's a lot of money. We went our way. Justin went his way, and went down there and killed it in Florida and South Georgia, and we stayed up here in the Metro Atlanta area. It just started with three of us. It was me, Todd, and Shannon. And we just went out, started generating leads, and pretty much doubled what we did every year up till now. Last year, with all the acquisitions and everything that we did, I think we ended up right at 100 million last year. This year it'll be about 250 to 300 million this year, organically, and also with acquisitions. The year before the PE deal, I think we did right at 40 million. So 26 before that, 16, or 26 before that, 20, 16, so on and so on, so on for the last 6 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically, door knocking and social media, man. So no, not running no big storms or nothing like that. We've been in we had an office in Houston, Texas at one point in time. We've been in Raleigh, North Carolina. We pulled out of both of those, and then we knew we got too big too quick, learned a lot of lessons, pulled back. We focused on Tennessee, Alabama, and Georgia for a long time, for about 5 of those years, and killed it in those states. Learned everything the hard way, 6 figures at a time. But we did learn, to be debt free every Saturday, and we kept it rocking and rolling like that. Always paid our people. Don't have any of those complaints, because that would have went viral just as quick as the State Farm would have went viral, because you know how that goes.
Oh
Just
yeah.
kept our head down and kept some clean books until PE found us, man. And PE, the private equity coming in has been a true blessing. It's changed my life. Basically, restructured my whole family tree. PE's exciting in roofing. So sign that deal. Thought about it long and hard, right? But the deciding factor for us to go with PE was, I got basically my whole team with me for the last 20 years that were a part of my last life. I brought them along with me in the roofing. And I got my guys to, where we're doing 40 million a year, but I had to kind of look at it and say, hey, man, I got them to here, but private equity will, bring some stability to our company and some stability to my guys' futures, with their families as they're getting older and don't want to be on every 12-12 that comes across the board. So
Yeah, man, I'll tell you what, that got me excited right there because you literally started with nothing. Three dudes going out door knocking. People, listen to this, man. It can be done. It's a lot of work and it's never easy. And there's a ton of stuff that sucks along the way. But look at what happens in a short period of time if you really focus. And I think that's really what I am the most impressed with you guys is just the level of focus. And I got to meet your partner Todd at Lee Hates conference, the Blue Collar American Dream conference. I was backstage with him, and I actually got to intro him onto the stage there
oh,
for his
okay.
speaking gig. And we were standing back there, and we were just kind of chatting, and it was like, dude, this guy's legs are like bigger than my freaking entire body. and I'm feeling good about myself at that point. And I was like, dude, I lost 100 pounds, and I started going to the gym, and I've been like
That's
really
awesome.
religious about it for a couple years. And it was like, dude, I felt really like a badass, but then I was back there and it was like, all right, you still got work to do, Chuck. Like that guy could probably squash you with one hand. So as good as you're doing, you always got to stay humble and realize that. But for being a dude that could squash me with one hand, he was probably the nicest guy I've met. And I really enjoyed that conversation and hope to have him on the podcast at some point down the road too. But it's super inspiring to see that. And I think that a lot of the common things that I've been seeing with people that are having success, not just in our industry, but in general, is the fact that we've focused a lot of attention on physical fitness, on health and well-being. And I know you do the same. Tell me a little bit about that and how that plays a role in your day-to-day life, in your business world, and just, the overall benefits of your lifestyle, being healthy and doing what we're supposed to do and, what the ultimate goal is with that.
Yeah. When we first started off, I've been racing bicycles now about 9 years. Some years at a kind of high level, endurance stuff, longer distance stuff. When I first started, man, it's crazy because I'm an addict, right? I'm an addict at everything I do. I'm addicted to making money. I'm addicted to working. I'm addicted to racing bikes, endurance racing. So when we first started, man, we worked pretty much 7 days a week for the first 3.5 years. I remember being on my trainer, my bike trainer at night, which is my race bike hooked to like a little wheel with a computer that goes to a power meter. It's kind of complex, but if you're watching the podcast, you can Google it what a trainer is. But we worked 3.5 years, man, pretty much 7 days a week, and I was still addicted to racing, man. So I might do a road race or a crit race on my road bike, or I did a 7-day race and still went and climbed roofs during the day, and we'd race in the afternoons. It's called the Tour of Georgia. Yeah, I was a fanatic, with the racing and being disciplined, with the training. I think I've been clean off narcotics and alcohol for June 6th, 2012 is my clean date as far as alcohol and narcotics. Then I've been Cali clean for about 5 years now, where I do either hit a pin or eat an edible or smoke at 8 o'clock at night before I train now. Got off all prescription medications with the Cali clean. When you come off addiction and have a wild lifestyle before this. I probably had some PTSD where I was using they prescribed me a clozapam once a day. Probably helped a lot climbing steep and high roofs, right? So it's but I didn't want to be controlled by that, and I read how bad they were for your heart. So that's when I became Cali clean about 7 years after being totally clean from everything. So yeah, I got rid of the benzodiazepines. I'm not on any medication whatsoever. I'm 46 years old. Yeah, I mean, a disciplined lifestyle, right, is if you feel good, you look good, and you got energy, to be completely honest with you, you're going to sell better. People look like, you take care of yourself. They know you're going to take care of their property. You care about your parents, your appearance. And, I think it just shows, you're not lazy, right? You're not lazy in your personal life. You're not going to be lazy in your work life. You're not going to be lazy with your work, your product you put out. I think it's very important, especially if you're even climbing. I climb steep and high. Anybody that watches my page, I always have like funny stories or whatever. I'm always like on a super steep roof. At 46 years old, if I don't work out, if I don't, I can't climb safely. I can't climb steep and high roofs. I can't hang off that rope, for an hour at a time at adjuster meeting. So yeah, man, I think these come hand in hand, man. And I can't train my guys and tell them to be disciplined if I'm, out late or can't get up in the morning. I feel like sometimes my business partner Lance used to try to catch me asleep in the morning at like 4:35 in the morning, and I'd be awake. I'd be awake waiting on a catastrophic event or something, with a build. If you preach it, you better walk it. So that's just where I don't know, man. It's just I've been living it so long now. I just don't know any other way, man.
Yeah,
So.
I get it, dude. I'm 46 as well, and I've been going to the gym for the last 25 years. I used to be in labor before I got into the contracting side. I was in distribution for 15 years, and I roof loaded houses off a conveyor truck.
Oh
So
wow.
I was always in pretty good shape. And then I got an opportunity to go down to Charlotte in 2010. We opened up a roofing supply company from scratch down there, and I didn't know anybody. It was in a really bad neighborhood. So the only thing that would deliver to my office was Pizza Hut. I ate straight Pizza Hut for like 3 years, and I got super bloated. Came down here to Texas. I lost a bunch. I got fat again. I did it again and again. But about 3 years ago, I just finally said, dude, that's enough. I saw a picture of myself on a speaking engagement ad, and it was like, oh, dude, that's what I look like. And from that day on, it's just been straight discipline, because you don't want to get up and do it every morning. I got up at 4:30 this morning to go to the gym. Probably would have been all right if I stayed in bed. Nobody would have known. But like they say, the way you do one thing is the way you do anything. And I respect that. And I always think to myself, I post pictures of it because I want to be held accountable. And I also hope that just doing that helps somebody else along the way. And I think it's super encouraging when people reach out and say, hey, man, you're doing a good job. Because of you, I got up and did what I was supposed to do this morning. And, at the end of the day, that's what this is all about. That's the best kind of paycheck, right?
Yeah, man. And people use social media and they don't realize when they're like, oh man, this dude's like flaunting that he's healthy a lot of people don't realize that, you're using that social media as an accountability partner, right? Because you want to practice what you preach. So I don't think, there is some where it's too much, right? But it is, I use it as accountability. If you walk right by the gym, well, I have a freestanding gym at my house. I'm like, dude, if you don't at least get in there for 30 minutes, man, you're the biggest fraud there is. You put that meme or you text that this morning on social media and you're about to walk right by that, you're a fraud, bro. So it's a double-edged sword, man. Like I said, a lot of people, they sit there and they go hard on social media as far as like saying it's so negative, but there is a lot of positives of it. And I think when you're trying to get in shape and hold yourself accountable, you can use it, by posting like, hey man, I want to practice what I preach.
That's it. And I tell everybody, if nobody watches any of my stuff, if nobody ever comments, I won't care one bit. Like, I do most of it for fun, podcast. I get to talk to people like you. I've done 159 episodes of Keepin It Rio, and I don't know, one day on a Thursday, I just decided to do a podcast a couple years ago, and it just kind of took off. But it's discipline. It's doing it every single week and being there and making sure that I go find guests and that I'm willing to do it. And, over the course of time, it starts to develop a little bit of a following. People start saying, hey, man, I like what you're doing. Sponsors start approaching you and things like that. And it's like, hey, I never intended for any of that to happen, but here it is. And I'm thankful for it. Grateful that I got this platform that I can kind of, share conversations with great people for others to learn from. So,
yeah, no, it's phenomenal, dude. I just started checking it out when I seen you when we talked and we did the little skit, and I was like, man, that's awesome, dude. And I looked at your stuff, man. You're doing a phenomenal job, by the way. So before I met you on the when we were walking across the floor and we did the little skit with Tim, and then me and you started talking, I was like, oh man, this is a cool dude. Now check your stuff out, man. You've been doing a phenomenal job with the podcast, by the way.
I appreciate that. It's a lot of fun. It's probably the coolest hobby on the face of the earth because it doesn't pay me shit, but One day it will, I hope, you know. And
Right,
if
right.
nothing else, it just gives you another reason to put your face out there and your stupid, annoying voice to the world. And hey, like I said, if nobody watches, I could care less because I get to talk to cool people. And I know for a fact that people do watch. So I
Oh yeah, yeah,
appreciate
yeah,
that.
yeah. I'm a fan now. I'm gonna catch all of them now, man. Now I got 100 and I've got 158 to catch up on. So now I got driving material. I usually drive about 300 or 400 miles a day. So
There you go.
I'll at least to get the to watch something new now.
Now keep you busy for at least a week and a half if you're in the car like that. So
Yeah.
that's what keeping it Rio is for. It's for keeping people alive in the car and just keeping them laughing. There's no content. It's just all made up stuff and it's fun. But let's really dig in now. Okay, we're 20 minutes in. That's the warm up right there. That's round one. Let's start with the real stuff. Okay, we're talking about social media, the power of social media. The way that I found out about you, like I said earlier, was through the video that you did a couple years ago. And I guess probably inadvertently that became a super popular video, not just in our industry, but probably all over the internet. Tell me a little bit about this experience, okay? Because I could clearly see what was going on. It's something that happens day to day for roofers, but you were there and you were doing everything you're supposed to do. You're getting a little bit of grief from this dude. Tell me about that experience with the homeowner, with the video. Was everything the way that you intended it to be, or did that thing just like super explode and it's like, whoa, shit?
Yeah,
Like,
man. I didn't even know. Like, we don't really pull out the camera during adjuster meetings, right? Because most of the adjusters are on our side anyways, right?
yep.
So that that was a re-inspection. I didn't do the initial claim. That was a claim that another roofer had that ran its course, right? Obviously, they didn't get it approved. The homeowners were referred to me because I was, I'm in the area and I do a lot of roofs. We do about 60 to 70 roofs a week for years now in Georgia. It got referred to me. I went out there, I marked it up. I sent the email in to the adjuster. We got a reinspection for the brittle test. So I videoed myself doing a ATR, attempt to repair. I sent that in. They sent a staffer out there to meet me. I put my ladder up. I just came from another adjuster meeting. It was actually kind of earlier in the day. So I'd already did one. I put my ladder up. Me and him, dude, it's a like an 18-year-old 20-year 3-tab. So it's got 33 missing shingles on it. It is legitly the last one on the road that hasn't been changed. So I was like, dude, I finally got them out here. We're gonna get a roof today. You know, didn't even think nothing about it. Set my ladder up. I was like, hey man, you can use my ladder. We're super cool on the ground, everything. So I go up on the roof. He goes ahead of me. I hold the ladder for him, obviously, right? And I'm bringing him a Ridge Pro and doing what we do, helping the adjuster. He goes up there and he goes right up to the eave, and we're not videoing, right? We're not doing any of that stuff. It wasn't there. We're not there to, pester. You get a lot farther at adjuster meetings with sugar, not, or whatever that saying is, right? Being cool. But he reached down and he went to go unseal a shingle and he broke the corner off. And now, mind you, we're there. We've already opened up coverage. We already got a shingle count. We're just there to do the attempt to repair. When I seen that corner break, I said, well, we're done here. You see what I'm saying? Because it's broke, it's brittle. He goes, no, that don't count. And I was like, no. I told Shannon, he's been with me. He's pretty much my assistant in the field. He's been with me every day since I started. He's at the other company with me. So I said, man, go ahead and start filming because we're gonna do this brittle test. And if he says this one ain't gonna count, and then y'all kind of see it from that perspective from there. The only reason that we started videoing is because he broke a corner off that shingle I keep pointing at. So yeah,
Self-inflicted, Jeff.
self-inflicted.
Self-inflicted.
Jeff stayed in the gas on it too, and it's crazy. And I thought he probably thought that I didn't, because I'll tell nobody I'm an owner of the company, or I do. When I'm out there with my guys, I'll tell the homeowners or the policyholders I'm just their climber, right? Because it doesn't matter to me. I think last week or the week before, the crew leader finally we did 25,000 roofs in the last 8 years or whatever, 9 years, whatever it was. So I've been on a lot of roofs. I do adjuster meetings all day long. But he was just, I think he thought he was just gonna like destroy me or something, you know. And he just stayed in the gas. He was a pain freak.
I saw it and it was like, dude, a part of me respected it because it was like, I've seen a lot of adjusters fold, but old Jeff, man, he was standing in the pocket and he was ready.
Yeah.
And I always wondered what happened because he was like, he was insistent that it could be repaired, but not the way that you were doing it. But he wasn't going to tell or show. And it's like, man, Jeff, come on, bro. This
Yeah,
isn't
and
going to end well.
yeah, and I had the roof snake. Like it wasn't like, I was ready, I was ready for that. I brought my roof snake, which they assist on us using down here in Georgia. I don't know if it's everywhere, in the southeast anyways, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, that they assist on that roof snake. So I had it ready. I was ready for Jeff that day too. And man, there's 33 missing shingles on the roof and over 100 creased. But like I said, it's a 20-year 3-tab. It was designed to, last 20 years. And we're up on, I think it was 17, 18, 19 years old. So it was, yeah, man, it was, so we left there, right? I got the videos. He airdropped them to me. I went to go do an all-state video. Sorry, an all-state adjuster meeting. So look, my phone was taking so long. I was like, I'm gonna download this to Facebook, man. Jeff's crazy. So look, I left my phone in my truck to download, and I went and did this all-state adjuster meeting. And when I got back in the truck, man, that thing had like 8,500 likes and like something crazy, 300 shares. I was like, oh wow, man, this is wild, man. So
It's funny how that happens, and it's just like completely accidental. And I love what you said because it was like, we were just trying to do the right thing. And it's kind of encouraging to a degree that stuff gets out as fast as it does and people share it as much as they do, because I think we're fighting the good fight. And I was talking to someone, it was Tim Brown actually the other day about this, where, the contractors are always painted as the bad guy in the story. And it's because we don't have billions of dollars to put ourselves on TV and say that we're awesome neighbors and that we're good with your hands and stuff. And they control that narrative. So when you get the chance to kind of go back against it, it's good to see that kind of popularity. And I guess that brings me to where you and I met the other day. Yeah. We're at Win the Storm. And I believe this one now has potentially well over 1 million views. Tim told me on Sunday it was at 1 million. So,
oh, wow.
We did it again, my friend. We started some controversy in the industry, and I love Tim. And I told him, hey man, if I'm going to get myself exiled, I'd at least love for it to be on a Hook video. I mean, wearing my shirt here is a tribute to Tim, but that's, it's kind of sad, but it's also kind of amazing that it's got that kind of reach. And, we get in there and stir it up a little bit. It's fun, but we're fighting the good fight. So let me ask you real quick, okay? Win the Storm was last week. I've had a lot of people ask me about my experience at Win the Storm, and overall for me, I thought it was great. I didn't have anything negative, except maybe the one thing that I would change is the speakers. There were a couple that were speaking at the same time that I would have liked to have seen, and I couldn't be in both. But other than that, my experience at Win the Storm was awesome, and that was after not going for about 7 years. I'd pretty much given up on that event, so let me ask you this. What was your experience like? And had you been to that event prior? And how do you think that compared to what it was in its previous existence?
Yeah. So I mean, I've been to about every one of them for the last 5 or 6 years. I usually take my guys. I've always went because I've been in sobriety. So I don't know anything about, what I guess there was a bunch of wild stuff at night or whatever that I never experienced any of the old stuff. Josie's a friend of mine. He's a phenomenal individual in the industry and just as a person. I thought the event was crazy. We got a hellstorm, obviously, when we got there. So about 50 of the people that were going to be there with us with Blue Hammer Roofing were obviously out knocking doors and generating revenue. Man, I think it was a phenomenal event. I think the narrative that he's preaching is an awesome narrative just in life, right? I stand behind everything that he, spoke about on the stage. And to be honest with you, I didn't even know he felt, that passionate about, certain things. Super proud of who he is and what he's standing for in the event that he bought, right? And to, turn it around and make it a great event again. You know what I mean? So
Yep.
yeah, I thought it was phenomenal.
I enjoyed it. Everything about it was great. I'll definitely go back next year, and I give it 5 stars. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. When industry superstars agree that it was badass, then it was badass. So y'all need to go next year as well. Um, let's go back to another event. There's a couple other things I really want to touch on because you guys have done some amazing things, not just in our industry, but also in your community. And I remember a couple weeks ago seeing a story on Facebook where there were some kids and they were getting kind of shunned a little bit at school, which to me was very disgusting. And you guys stepped in and did something that, like, I'm not even gonna lie, it legit brought a tear to my eye because it was like, dude, kids, I think, of all people in the world, kids should not be the ones that bear the brunt of the unfortunate situations that they find themselves in. But tell me a little bit about what you guys did there and, the thought behind it, how many lives you guys just touched, and how many kids you really probably not even realizing saved from, even being made fun of or feeling bad about themselves. Tell me a little bit about that experience that you guys went through just a couple weeks ago with the school lunches.
Yeah. So we've been paying back school lunches for about 3 years now. That was just kind of a big one. We usually do about 1 or 2 a week. We paid back over 100 school lunches before you seen that one. So I don't even know if you had knew that.
I
We've been paying.
did.
Yeah. So we've paid back school lunches for the last 3 years. Um, that was just a big one. So the news got involved with that one. That was we wrote a $60,000 check that day, and paid back we paid the whole county off. Yeah. So if y'all don't know, let's bring a little awareness to that. If the kids don't have money for when they get up to the register, and their tab has done gotten too high, I think once it gets to, like, I don't know, I think $100 that the parents owe, the kid will just get a sack lunch, and they'll actually take the tray and throw it in the trash. Yeah. So I don't know. We gotta, we we gotta do better than that, And if the lunch ladies step in, which they spoke to us on the side, not in that county, but if they do help, they'll get fired. So they have to be a part of, they got a family to provide for too, right? So we got to fix that system. We've been involved in it 3 years. We paid back, I think now, I don't want, don't hold me to it, either 105 or 109 school lunches. Schools. So we've been involved in the community doing that for years. Yeah, that's the easiest way. That and clothes. If you don't have the right clothes, you already know. I mean, if you can either be on one side of it or the other, right? So either kids are mean, man, and they don't mean to be. They just don't know. So they give it sets kids up for failure when they're getting made fun of. If you get made fun of at school, you don't want to go. If you don't have the right clothes, right shoes, you don't want to go. Then if you can't pay for your lunches, that's just another reason they get bullied. And the kids that are bullying them, they don't know. It should be taught better at home. But even if they're taught better at home, they fall in that little crowd and they'll get bullied. And we got to set them up for success. If 60 grand won't change my lifestyle at all. I've did well in roofing. I'm blessed to say that. But if it can change hundreds of kids' lives, then we got to write that check.
Man, that is so commendable. Like that was really one of the coolest things I've seen in our industry in years. And there are a lot of good people in our industry. I mean, we get painted in a bad light, obviously, because of, whatever reasons. But there are so many good people in this industry that do so much. And that was really, I even shared that story on my roofing company page and was like, I'm super proud of my industry today because of what these guys did. So,
no, awesome, man. Yeah, I didn't know it. And people give us, a little bit of, a little bit of a hard time. They're like, well, you could do it and not show it. But if I do it and I don't show it, I don't bring awareness to it.
that's exactly right. Anyone that would say you could do it and not show it is not doing it. So they should shut up about it. And, either that or put your money where your mouth is and don't tell anybody about it either.
Anybody, to step up in their community. I mean, as roofers, we do good, we do good. And some roofers do bad, you know what I mean? And, but when you are doing good and you're doing good and you're roofing, I mean, I'm roofing a lot of roofs in the metro Atlanta area. I'm roofing a lot of roofs in, 11 different states now. I think we'll end up roofing, between 8,000 and 16,000 roofs this year. But if I'm roofing that much in the community, I'm going to be a part of the community and, bring it up, and not, not just roof it, not be involved in it. We have an organization that's in our office, that's in our back warehouse. It's called Sleep in Heavenly Peace. We build beds for unfortunate kids in unfortunate situations, and we'll go out and deliver them on the weekends. I've been out of town a lot recently, but I think they do have one Saturday going out, and we'll build 50 or 60 beds. And we go and deliver them, and with mattresses. There's a lot of different organizations that sponsor it and donate the wood for us to build them. But we actually build the bed from wood to a bunk bed or a single bed in the back of our warehouse at Perimeter Office in Georgia. So,
wow, that's that's well above and beyond what most people do as humans. So thank you on behalf of mankind for all the positive stuff you guys are doing. It negates a lot of the negatives that you see. And I'm thankful that we're able to have a platform like this where we can bring attention to that, because again, if you're not doing that, shut the hell up about it, because here's a guy that is, and he's putting his money where his mouth is, leading from the front and leading by example. This is a fun question. So last year, little brief history on this. I have this roofing company here in San Antonio, Rio Blanco Roofing. Last February, we shut the company down. My business partners and I kind of separated. We shut the company down. I ended up going to Florida for a lot of the year last year. Lee Haight called me up and asked me to come down and work with him for his Blue Collar American Dream Conference. And I remember one day you and Todd just like strolled into the office. I walked by you guys. And I didn't even say anything, because at that point it was like, these dudes don't even know me. But I thought it was pretty cool that you were down there. But then it evolved a couple months down the road to where Perimeter Roofing was the primary sponsor of the Lee and Dimitri boxing fight. And I thought that was awesome, because I'm a fight fan. We all love it. It was a cool narrative. It was a couple guys that didn't like each other, and they're going to settle it in the cage. And what better way in America to do it than to go in and duke it out. But let me ask you this. What led to the idea, number one, for you guys to be a sponsor of that event? And what kind of work went into promoting that and to putting that whole thing together? Because to me, it was crazy watching. I was down there for a lot of the time when it was being promoted, and watching Lee doing his stuff. And I can only imagine what Dimitri was doing, training and all. But those guys took it pretty damn serious, and it was a pretty competitive fight. But tell me about it from your perspective as the guy that thought, okay, y'all want to see this? We're going to bring it to the people. And you guys did. So what's that experience as a fight promoter feel like? What's it look like? How did that all go?
Yeah, man, it was a fun thing to put on, man. It was cool, shots out to NFC, for stepping up and helping get that done. It was funny, man. Me and my wife we were laying in the bed, and I see them going back and forth on a post or wherever they were going back and forth. So I'm friends with both of them, right? I've been on Dimitri's podcast. I've been on Lee's podcast. I've known Lee for years. So I feel like I'm a neutral ground. So I say, hey man, if y'all really want to fight, I sponsor a lot of fights in Atlanta. Let me just put it on, and it's the halfway point. Are you down? Dimitri said, please do it. And Lee said, absolutely. So, dude, it took like one text, man, and they were down for it. And then we got NFC involved, and one of the promoters, she reached out to me in a message because she thought I was a fight promoter. I'm like, no, I'm a roofer, and she knew Lee, but I just let NFC kind of take it from there. And we sponsor a bunch of fighters here already. Todd's back in MMA. He has been in it before, just training or whatever. We go. Sometimes I've took my whole office staff and rented, boxes there. Paid big money to watch fights, PFL fight or whatever it is. That was live. I got a box and took all my office staff and their family to one. Me and my wife, I usually take the team and get tables and front row. We'll kind of blow it out at the fights, man. We're big fight fans. Me and my wife are, and all the teams. So we love it. My son's been boxing for 5 years or 4 years now, and jiu-jitsu for 6. And he's only 12. I used to fight in the streets, before it was cool, weighing on bathroom scales and old car washes. and fight for $500, back in the 90s. So, always been a big fight fan. So yeah, it was a good thing to do, man. It was a phenomenal fight, right? They went at it, dude. Hats off to both of them, man. Lee won a couple of the early rounds. Dimitri won, ended up winning the fight with 8 seconds left. Man, just hell of a fight, dude. Hats off to both those guys, man. They're warriors in there, dude. People can talk trash all they want, but I promise you, there ain't too many of them gonna step up right at their weight class, man, and go in there and go all those rounds like they did.
That's exactly right. And nobody else is going to step in there and do that. And that's the thing that cracked me up is I see all the animosity for these guys after the fight. And it's like, LOL, this and that. But it's always these fat dudes that are sitting behind a computer and they're like, you're a little pussy, dude. You got beat. And it's like, bro, you would be winded climbing up the stairs to get into the cage. And you're over here giving this damning critique of the fight. To me, two of the most visible guys in this entire industry. Everybody knows Dimitri. Everybody knows Lee. Everybody's got their opinion. So it's like split right down the middle. I thought it was absolutely the coolest thing. And the argument was, is this good for the industry? I'll be honest. Everything in the world doesn't have to make the roofing industry better. Sometimes we can just do things for fun. I did a podcast with Tim Brown where he was on his roof at 3:00 in the morning. We did a live podcast. I promise you that we didn't do anything to help the roofing industry that day, but it was a lot of fun, and it kind of shows the characters of the people that are in it. So I respect both of them.
It could be bad. I don't know how it could be bad. There's going to be probably a fight this weekend pay-per-view, or Mike Tyson fighting Jake Paul. How is it bad? How is I think society, and I'm not going to get real political or nothing like this, but society, if you can't go fight, dude, two men handle their business now in 2000, 23, 24? I don't even know, because all I do is just, ride my van and climb roofs all day.
Yep.
But yeah, dude, how is it bad? How is two men, competing, settling the beef, right, in the ring? How is that? That's human nature, bro. I don't know how that's bad. If somebody's got a problem with that, then I don't know, man. That's where we're at right now, right? So that's a whole nother podcast, though, right? So
absolutely.
Yeah,
we'll save time for that one.
Go down that rabbit hole, dude. I'll get canceled. So.
Oh, dude, it's beautiful. I've almost got canceled a couple times, but I try to keep it inside the lines, and I'm pretty good about it. But I agree, and I know one thing. A few years back, I used to work for a roofing company in College Station, and it was the same thing. We would sponsor the MMA fights, and we'd be cage side, and what a badass experience, that's just one of those things in life where you see, two guys get in there and handle their stuff. And I don't have the balls to do it. So I'm certainly not going to say anything about the guys that did. I think they're both better than I am as far as that goes. And,
Yeah, hell of a fight, man. It's just hell of a fight though, man. Right. I don't know who's seen it or was there, but a hell of a contest, dude.
It was just hard. Yeah. It was hard.
It's like one-on-one basketball though. It's just a contest, man. Go out, you play one-on-one. That's a contest, right? Bike racing's contest. Anything's a playing softball's a contest, man, against two groups of people. So I don't know how I've seen that, man, and I just don't understand how that was any negative adverse effects, of that, better than fighting at the conference in the middle of the, That's what Dimitri said.
Although that would be cool. I'm not gonna lie. Cool. I'd pay to see that.
That's more my style, the bare knuckle stuff. But and I know a couple of the bare knuckle fighters down here in Atlanta, and that's absolutely bananas. But yeah, Dimitri said, "Hey Raymond, if you can put on, we'll fight if you can put on a safe, sanctioned event where we can settle our differences." And I said, "Absolutely. I think it was great for the industry. I think we should do it once a year."
I agree. I've been training. I'm going to call out somebody. I got a couple of those guys that are the old veterans in the industry. The guys are like 75 and above. And it's like, dude, I've been training, bro. I'm coming next year for fight night too. But, it's all in good fun. And I agree. Nobody got hurt. No, it was only a benefit. It brought a bunch of people together and it was just fun. So thank you for doing that because
absolutely, brother.
Why not, man? You entertain the entire roofing industry with one event. So that's pretty cool. I got a couple more things. I'm paying attention to the time. I'm keeping this in segments. We're doing good. So the next question I have is, you mentioned earlier that Perimeter has now been involved in a deal with a private equity. It's going to help you grow your company. It's going to help build your company. A lot of things with this PE stuff that I've been hearing and discussing, and there's all kinds of different perspectives. And I wanted to ask you specifically, because you're a guy that's gone through it and you're seeing the benefits of it. Ultimately speaking, what do you think the ultimate goal is with that move? Is it to take over? A lot of people are thinking to take over the insurance industry to kind of become a big MRP, or was there some other kind of play that none of us know about that was involved in that? Or was it just basically, hey, Raymond, here's some money, bro. We want to buy your company because you're successful. And this gives you an opportunity, like you said, to change your family tree for generations to come. What was the thought process behind it, and how did that all, come about for you?
Yeah, I mean, they were reaching out to me. I thought, to be honest with you, I didn't think it was. I didn't the numbers that they talk and everything. I didn't think it, they would ever go through. Right? I'm out there climbing roofs, dirty with chalk on me every day, and they reached out and were like, "Man, they could probably do this." I was like, "Man, come on." I said, "Hey, look, dude, I'm out here climbing roofs, bro. Look, text Todd." So they reached out to me, and I put Todd in a group text with them. It's about a 14-month, acquisition for us because we are, we are the platform. So it was a long due diligence for us. Had a great broker, made the experience great. Greg Hicks is an absolute maniac when it comes to brokers. He's fair for PE and he's fair for you and gets you a fair amount for your money. I mean, for your company, a fair amount of money for your company. Super happy with him. So I do want to, say that about, if you're looking for a broker, Greg Hicks is your guy. It's not a promo. I already got my money, but he's a phenomenal dude. Yeah, man. I mean, look, if you don't go with them, I don't think you want to compete against them. I don't have to balance the materials are no longer in my name. I'm not personally guaranteeing them. Number one, right? What they can provide for my guys, they're here to stay. The company's here to stay. So it does, as we're getting older, right? They're bringing some stability to the industry. I think with providing I know people don't like to say it, but W-2 positions, for guys that are getting older. That was something I had to think about for my team. My team has been with me since about 8th grade. So I'm more indebted than just I didn't get my guys off Indeed. My guys ran the streets with me. So I can't quit until all of them are situated too. So I knew that was a vehicle for that. And like I said, man, every January when that AccuLinks or your CRM goes to zero and you got to reinvent yourself, you don't want to ever plateau or you don't ever want to go down. I knew they would bring the tools and the knowledge to, get us to 100 million. They did do that. So that was easy. They'll help you organically or through acquisitions to get the numbers you want. Before, I think it cost us to keep the money, to keep the company building, 2,500, 3,000 squares a week. Between me, Todd, and Lance, we had to keep about $5 million of working capital. I had to have about $1 million a week to pay all my guys and the crews and my materials. It's just a lot of pressure, man. I'm from the streets, bro. I can barely read and write. Shit, I got a 8th grade education. So when you got these people coming in, they're gonna do this and this and this. I mean, and they're gonna pay me, more money than just a crazy amount of money to come and help me, right, and grow my business. I mean, I don't see how I don't see how you wouldn't do it, right? I've given a lot of opportunity to my guys. They've made it better. The marketing, there's no budget for marketing. You know what I mean? It's like do this, do this, do this. We'll see our ROI is. And man, a phenomenal experience for me. With PE. We went and I went through 5 acquisitions, and I'm part of the integration process. That's definitely been an experience for me. You acquire a company and change your CRMs right before storm season. So that's definitely a challenge, dude. And there are other roofers with the same personality as me, which are all my teams. Blue Hammer has been phenomenal. Humble's been phenomenal. Regal was a challenge, right? That was our first one. A lot of collateral damage on that one. And then we just went through, a big one in Michigan, with Mills. we're EBITDA's 50 million and growing organically at this point. Man, just a wild ride, dude. So yeah, it's you don't want to compete against them. I think the plan for PE will be 5 platforms will pretty much roof everything in the United States in the next 10 years. So
Yep.
I mean, it is what it is, right? And if it goes to a retail model, everybody's like, "What if it goes to a retail model?" Well, I promise you this: if if you're roofing 16,000 squares a year, and you're roofing, or more, right? Or 16,000 homes a year, and you're buying, 5,000, 6,000 squares a week. If it does go to a retail model, you're not going to beat PE.
No, you're going to be in good shape on that end. Just like,
That
that's
right.
that's covering your bases all the way around. And I respect it tremendously. And I agree with what you said. I think that we're going towards that. And as I get a little bit older, I start thinking, okay, what do I want to do down the road? What's the ultimate game plan? And it's like, when I'm 50, I'm going to start looking around and saying, okay, I've had my fun. That'll give me 30 years in the industry. And it's like, 30 is probably enough for a guy like me. I've had my fun. I've got to do what I'm doing, but I'm looking to get out at some point. I'm sure that's the ultimate destination for you as well. So what's the exit strategy looking like for you as far as, hey man, I love what I'm doing. You're going to keep doing it as long as it's fun, I would think. Or do you have a defined strategy that says, on my 50th birthday, I'm done with this?
Yeah, I hope way before then. I'm 46 now. I hope to be exiting as soon as I get these guys set up. And to be honest with you, man, I want to pass the torch on to my guys. I got a great core group of leadership here. I got about 8 guys with about another 10 guys up under them. That in leadership roles, management roles, stuff like that. Yeah, for me, man, it'll be once I can pass the torch to them, man, and get them where they're all in good places. I would like to. I'm hustling to disappear. Like I was telling you earlier, there won't be no coaching. There won't be no programs to buy. Not knocking nobody. Not. I'm just saying for me.
Yep.
I
Hey,
won't.
you're the guy that actually could do it, and
Yeah.
they're credible guys. Usually don't want to do that.
Yeah, I won't be a guru. I won't be. There will be no coaching platform. If I do anything, it'll be talking to people that are in juvenile detentions or something like that. It'll be charity, bud. I'm not going to sell you a program to get your company to $10 million or get it to private equity. I plan on spending time with my wife and my kid, and racing mountain bikes, and living in a Sprinter out on the West Coast. Maybe buying a house in Utah. I live on 65 acres now, in a 1,600 square foot house. Nothing crazy, and I got a beautiful home on the water, in a 1,500 acre wildlife preserve down in Florida, neighborhood down there. So I'm hustling to disappear. So full transparency. I won't be for hire. I won't climb another roof. I'll help my team that I have now. That if they need me to come back and consult with them, I don't. I've almost built my team better than I am. Them young guys now, they're animals, man. I don't know. Some of them seen some of my guys speak, some of their stuff at Win the Storm. Some of my guys were on the stages, and they're absolutely, I feel best in the industry, man. I had some young kids that started off with me at 18. They're 22, 23 now. Some of them 22, and now they're 30 now, and they are just phenomenal, man. So I want to pass the torch and give them hugs, and they'll always be able to get a hold of me, and maybe be on some Zoom meetings for the platform or for perimeter roofing, and they'll probably be glad to get rid of me, bro. When I go, I'm hard to work with sometimes. I worked 33 days straight, man, one time, and I'm out there with chalk all over me. My wife, my goal is to be in the driveway at 8 o'clock, every night. And I get up at 4:30. When I swing my feet, she swings her feet and hits the ground. So she's about done with roofing too. And you get home. I got a 12-year-old. He's running around here right now. He's got soccer tournaments, this weekend. But I haven't been to none of his school events or nothing for, I'm just being honest, bro. Full transparency here. I've chose to grow this company to, if you know what the acquisition was, it was a lot of money, bro. I did the trade out on that. I love my son. I get him every other weekend. I get him every other weekend in the summer. He lives 78 miles from me, but I haven't been, to to mini school events during the week, and I'm gonna be honest about that. I haven't been to any. I've been to two, I think, during the weekdays. But Cry Me a River. He loves his dad, right? And they paid me a fair amount of money. 8 figures on the first check. The second check will be 8 figures too. So I mean, you ain't gonna be putting your phone on the man on that. They'd be paying you, $40-50 million at a time, bud.
Yep. And hey, dude, more power to you for that. That's what the American dream is right there. And you absolutely have created it and you've lived it and you've inspired tons of people. Probably going to be hearing about this for the rest of your life. How, back in 2022, I saw this video, you and Jeff, and it's going to be like, hell yeah, dude. I hope to be around long enough to see all that as well. I'm sitting at 55 minutes, and I said I wanted to do an hour, but I got two more things I want to cover.
Yeah,
and I
no
think
worries,
one's going to put us
out, brother. Rock it out. You good?
One's going to put us a little over because
That's
we're
all
roofing
good.
guys. I've been in roofing for 25 years. When I was on Lee Hates podcast, he asked me a question about this, and I told a story that I didn't think I would ever really publicly tell, but sometimes podcasts will do that to you. So every time I have someone from anything on here, one of the last questions I always like to ask is, tell me about in your career, 8+ years in the roofing industry now, starting as a door knocker, working all the way up to the point where you're getting multiple checks for huge numbers. At some point in this career, there's been that one person that almost made you leave the industry, that one person that you were going to punch in the face, regardless of whether or not it was going to cost you your company, the one homeowner, the one employee, the one whatever, right? And mine was crazy. It was a whole ordeal, but there was you have to go watch that one. I can't tell that story again, but we've all got one. Most of us have hundreds of them, but there's always that one. Tell me about your one story, your one person in your career from day one to today, where you were like, dude, I can't believe this is real. This is messed up. I want to kick the shit out of this guy. Whatever it is, there's something. Or maybe it was just a very sweet old lady, and at the end, she gave you a hug and said, Raymond, you're the best. What's the one lasting memory that no matter how hard you try, you'll just never be able to get out of your mind?
Well, that did happen, and I got sued for $2.1 million. So one of my other business partners says, I still like him to this day. So I don't know if he likes me. Yeah, one of my old business partners punched me in the office one day in mid-sentence in my mouth. And in about 5 minutes, I took him down through there, right? And I would say I want to glorify poor behavior, right? And I got myself in some legal situation. The police come, no arrests were done or nothing like that. But I went through a time where I got sued for that fight. Obviously I did the most damage, right? And I got sued for $2 million, man. So that was hard to get through that. I didn't pay a penny. I stood my ground. I wasn't in the wrong. You punched me in the mouth. I don't care if I'm worth $100 million. If you punch me in the mouth, you're going to get punched back. I promise you that. It don't matter where it's at. So that was the defining moment for me. It was like, hey, man, you're better in this now. You got to get through this situation and never put yourself in this situation again. So no matter how much money people make me or I make with, so nobody works for me. They're all 1099. We work together, right? Let's get that straight right now. So, no matter what, how much money I make with you, if you take my peace away, I'm not gonna work with you because there's not an amount of money that can take my freedom or my peace away, and I will not live in a toxic environment. So that was the defining moment for me a couple of years ago. And I was like, hey Raymond, man, you're being an older man, but still this day, if somebody puts their hands on me, I promise you, I'm gonna put my hands back on them. And I stay in pretty good shape. That was the moment for me on that. The best moments for me are. I'm a hard case, come from, some pretty wild, lifestyle. So, to be honest with you, I haven't looked at my bank account in about 5 years because I always knew I can buy a mountain bike if I need it, and I can always fill my truck up full of diesel. It's not been a I don't live above my means. I haven't before the acquisition. I had 7 figures in my bank account before the acquisition, and so I've never worried. But changing people's lives, man, people paroling out of prison, people coming in there saying, "Hey, man, I just don't know what I'm gonna do." Roofing provides the vehicle where you can make six figures with no education or a criminal background. So I found my passion in that. Once I found my passion in that, that was, man, that was been so long ago, man. That's been, 5-6 years ago when I seen what I did for myself. Being dyslexic, can barely read and write, to making, shit, 7 figures a year. Seeing what it can do, even with a criminal background, seeing what it can do. I said, hey man, it's just like recovery. You got to give it to keep it. This is your calling. Get these guys in here, teach them a trade so they can provide for their families. So that was, one of the biggest things for me.
Yep. And that's the biggest reward of it all, I think, is my purpose in this industry now is just to help people not make mistakes like I did. Cause I've screwed everything up at least once. I don't mess up stuff more than once, but I've made every single mistake at least once, and it's like, if I can help someone along the way and tell them, don't do that. That was kind of a dumbass move or, whatever. That to me is ultimately what this is about. So I appreciate that. I appreciate what you're doing to help people, to bring people's lives up. The fact that most of your team has been with you since the 8th grade just speaks on who Raymond Little is as a man and why you're so well respected in our industry. So thank you for that. As we wind down the show, I always ask the final question. Someone's watching this episode. This bad boy's getting well over 1 million views. I can assure you of that. And I always joke and say it might be like 100 years from now, we'll both be gone, but it's getting 1 million. And if someone's watching this episode and they're like, man, this guy's story really inspires me. He's living the American dream. He's proving that this can be done. Like, not just saying it, he's doing it. And I want to follow that guy, or I want to be a part of his team. I want to see what I can do. I want to push myself. What's the best way that people can follow you, your journey? If someone feels like they'd be a good fit for your company, what's a good way for them to try to, improve their life through those means?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, just hit me up on Facebook, man. Like I said, I'm very. Some of my team says I'm too approachable, like I'm too easy to get a hold of. But yeah, man, just DM me on my Facebook page, Raymond Little. On my Facebook page. I really don't do the Instagram thing. I guess I'm getting. You're 46 too, bro. I know everybody's on the Instagram. I have a TikTok thing, but I just post a video, then I don't respond to any of the comments. I don't TikTok too much. Yeah, just hit me up on Facebook, man. Let's get on a call. I'm still, I still call. I mean, I still climb every day, bro. I'm out there changing pipe boots, doing tender repairs. So it ain't no, I appreciate you even having me on the podcast, right? Because I know people see my viral videos and stuff like that. And, bro, I still live a humble lifestyle. I mean, they paid me a lot of money for my company, but I to be honest with you, dude, I love private equity. I love those guys that I'm affiliated with. Still get up. I go harder for them because I feel accountable to them. I pretty much live on the road every other week. I fly out to Texas on Sunday. I'll be out in Missouri. I stayed on the road all last year. I was a week home, week gone. Like I said, man, I changed a pipe boot 2 weeks ago. You know what I mean? And I changed seal and stuff. But yeah, just hit me up, Raymond Little, on my Facebook. DM me. I'll get you set up with one of our managers. You'll see me out there too. I still carry the ladder there. I don't even let my guys carry the ladder to the roof, but if we got to go down on a rope too, I say, hey man, you sit on this ridge, bro. I'm going down, bro. So, I really do truly believe in, leading from the front, and it is what it is, dude. But yeah, just hit me up on Facebook and let's get on the call.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen. That right there is the example of how to be a leader. That's an example of how to live the American dream and be a self-made success. And I can't thank you enough, Raymond Little, for being a guest here on episode 159 of Keepin It Rio. For everybody that watches, as always, thank you. Remember to share, like, subscribe, do all that stuff so as many people as possible can see this episode. Maybe we change someone's life with what we just talked about in the last hour. That's always the goal. So until next time, I always end with the cheesiest tagline in the history of the world, which is keep on keeping it real.